Being here with us on the early rush show. Jojo Licious, how you doing?
I am fine.
Take care of you.
Welcome back from Port Harcourt.
There, Abby. But about the places, I don't want to be in Port Harcourt. I got slapped once there. I actually went there for an event, it was this spin the wheel and make a win. And unfortunately for me, by the time one of the people I had spoken with, went to get his own tin of milk and he got back, we're done, we're packing up for the day, and he got so angry. You mean you made me go and spend 30 naira like that? And that's how he woozed me one.
Maybe it could be welcome slap, not the.
So I ain't going back there ever, Anyways, it's great to have you here. Welcome, boy. Do we have a big surprise for you this morning?
Surprise.
Surprise. I cannot wait for the unveiling. So drum roll. All right, so we are still keeping it in the bag. We're not ready to let that surprise out. Now, we're not really going to be doing much of all of this,
maybe crisis low mean for us of assembly. Say we will bust ourselves.
All of that, We're just going to go directly to what we have for you. Are we ready to unveil? Joseph is going to do the honors.
Huh?
You do the honor.
I'll give you. One thing.
We can do this all day.
Okay. One thing that is so unique out of you, me, and our special person here, we are from Akukas. So we have our distinguished Omoyele Sowore, the founder of Sahara Reporter in the studio. Sowore, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And equally a veteran too, is a journalist to the core.
I love your Edo accent. It comes out. Mr. Sowore, do you love how he pronounced your name just now? It sounded very Edo-ish.
I'm going to have my lawyers call him.
His lawyer having to be my friend.
No, what would be the charge? Name bending.
No, I think it's slander.
Slander.
I thank God that the lawyer
slanders me by mispronouncing by completely changing
I'm telling you.
It's not able to be my friend.
Okay, so that's great. Okay, it's great to have you here, sir. Shakara!
Good morning.
Welcome, Mr. Sowore, to the Early Rush Show. You are the talk of town.
Yeah.
How do you carry that mantle of? You've always been a popular person. You've never been one to hide your light under a bushel. But it has exacerbated this year. How do you carry that mantle, first of all?
I think we got to the point where we needed to change the stars so that our time, we can shine during our time. And I came out to declare for office, and most people were afraid at that point to speak to the real issues affecting the country. They didn't want to mention names. Everybody was skirting around the issues, dancing around the issues. When I came on board, and I think when we came on board as a Take It Back movement and eventually a political party, we went straight to work. We identified Nigeria's problems. We identified the cause of the problem, the people causing the problem. And that energized a lot of young people who are giving up hope that, they don't have where to choose from. And I think the fact that we also started speaking directly to the issues, and it got to the point where the system started to panic. Either they're stealing some of our ideas or, trying to stop.
There's been outright theft of ideas.
Yes, absolutely.
Are you serious?
Yes, they stole the idea of June 12th from us. We were the first to declare that June 12th would be our national holiday. Democracy holiday. And they stole it and started looking for Abiola family people. They stole the idea of minimum wage from us, stole the idea of paying coppers minimum wage from us. They stole a lot of ideas. They started following and watching us. And so anytime we say something, they run and try to do it. When we went to Kano, and to complain about the highway between Kaduna and Kano. By the time we went back there a few weeks later, they had fixed the road.
Oh, wow.
So people even started saying that maybe if we want to get anything done, let's show rest say it, so that the government will rush into it. But, they don't have capacity, they don't have the capability to implement much. They're just trying to do things on the fly so that they can confuse people. In fact, even the idea of an airline was our idea, that you set up a Nigerian airline, domestic, I mean that is national. And they went and tried to do it, and of course they failed miserably. So if you bought a ticket on Facebook, sorry, Nigeria Air has packed up on Facebook. That's where it came from. So this is just so many things that we did within a short time. And don't forget, this is the last 8 months.
We're just
talking about 8 months ago.
A year. Yeah.
And so many of the other candidates have been around for 2 years, some of them a year and a half. So I didn't make up my mind until about 8 months ago. And I think it's energized a whole lot of young people within and outside Nigeria. It's energized the entire world. We've done about 100 events, town hall meetings, about 80 of them. We've traveled to about 29 states in Nigeria, and actually 30 at last count. We've done a lot of international town hall meetings because we needed to bring Nigerians at home and abroad together to understand that this project is about the salvation of Nigeria. Okay. Wherever you might find yourself, you just got to be part of it. Yeah.
Now, let's take you back to, there's so many questions I want to ask from your prologue alone, but let's take you back to one of the things you said. You said Nigeria's problems. And that's what, we've made a show out of Nigeria's problems.
That's
We've been
right.
discussing Nigeria's problems for a long time.
Yes.
And I think you'll agree with me that poverty is one of our biggest problems, because, our economy is, it could be better, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what do you think can be done to alleviate poverty? Let's start with that.
We will reduce this problem to nothing if we talk about the outcomes of the mismanagement of Nigeria. Poverty is just one of the outcomes of mismanaging Nigeria over the years. The real problem Nigeria has got is that Nigeria has not got leadership to the point that it can even proclaim to the Nigerians without a government. Almost. And when I'm traveling around this country in the last 8 months, I found a lot of Nigeria's territory to be ungoverned territory, that is without government.
What do you mean by that? Without government?
What is the job of government? What is the purpose of government? It's to administer territory, provide services to people, healthcare, education, infrastructure, electricity, agriculture, and to ensure that there are regulations, the security for citizens. Most of Nigeria today are lacking in all of these things, and poverty is one of the outcomes. So you also have ignorance. That's what you get when you don't send people to school, and when people are ignorant, they can also become poor. Lack of health is because people are not provided with health care, and when people are poor, when people are not healthy, they will also be poor. Lack of food is part of what government is not doing with them because they're not paying attention to agricultural self-sufficiency. And people have no food, they cannot work, and then they become poor, right? So if you solve a lot of this, lack of security is, because if people are not secure, you look at all the farmers that can't go to farm, or people who are displaced from their homelands, who are real good farmers in Nigeria, even if it's just subsistence agriculture, they're at least farming. And at the end of the day, they can't do what they need to do. Then they become poor. So you can look at every area in which our government has failed, has led somehow to poverty. So if you fix the problem of poverty, you fix a lot of problems. If you fix the problem of leadership, you fix a lot of. You wake up one day, and in Nigeria that is 58 years old, someone tells you that the only 2 candidates that can do the job are 2 ancestors of yours. One of them is lifeless, the other one is a thief. Yes.
No, that's causing the line. That's causing the line.
I'm not here to look. I want radio stations when you invite me. That is either you want me to talk or you switch off your camera. I have a platform. I have a platform where
So let's look at this.
I'm being honest because I'm heartbroken.
Yeah, let's also welcome Are Onadende Ariyo. Good morning, Ariyo. Thank you very much for joining
I'm
us.
very sorry for coming a little bit late.
No problem. That you came at all.
I had an appearance elsewhere. Just left the studio now before coming here.
Thank you very
much. And I think it's a blessing here to have Sowore on the hot seat. I've been looking for him.
Yes. That's why
because I have 2 questions.
Sowore is used to
it
doesn't look at you as hot seat because
I really want to appreciate you. Obviously, I had learned my system before you got in. But you did very well. And coming from there, going into exile to start Savannah Reporters, and from being that startup thing to what is a global brand today.
Thank you.
I commend you.
Thank you.
But you see, again, I share your pain in the way things have turned out to be in Nigeria.
That's right.
And I also share your vision that it can be better. I'm of that school of thought. But running through your manifesto, 2 things stood out for me. The minimum wage and then the number of houses that you promised to build.
Yes.
Knowing Nigeria, the money is there.
Yes.
Nobody will tell me there's no money, right?
I'm glad that people are starting.
Oh no! I mean, I don't tell tales.
Yes.
I'm not a tale bearer. I'm not Nico Gravity, the storyteller. I say it as it is. But the point is, you will be working within the same entrenched system. And when I say entrenched, I mean entrenched with rent seekers, jobbers, and all manner of characters who all they mouth in the name of God, either as Christians or Muslims, stops at their lips. Doesn't reflect in their lifestyle and their conduct or their behavior. Now, how sincerely do you think you can get through this? Perhaps if you get elected as president of Nigeria.
So, my answer is simple. Ask yourself, how was it done in South Korea? Right? They used to have plenty of rent seekers, probably more than we do. Last week, they just jailed the former president of South Korea because the law became supreme in their land. Because there was a leader, you and I know, who stood up and said, never again. How did it happen in China? That China has more houses, apartments, as you know, I'm sure you're very enlightened, than they have what they call ghost cities. Because a country of 1 billion people had more houses than there are people. It's never happened before. But China used to be the poorest country in the world, right? How did it happen in Singapore? How did it happen in Malaysia? The guys that came here to knife war in the 70s to borrow, I will use the word borrow, a palm kernel from us, a palm nut, took it to their country, buried it on the ground, and today we are importing palm oil from them. It's leadership, right? So the rent seekers are there, but what they did is that they got to the point where they stopped their contracts with the rent seekers. They stopped their contract with bootlickers. They stopped their contract with psychophants, thieves in their system, 10%ers, and the countries change around. And usually in this country will take one man who will come with vision and who is driven by a mission to rescue, and the country changes overnight. The rent seekers are themselves. They know that their days are numbered. You know, I met one of them one day. He said, look, we are surprised that it took you guys so long to be talking about not too young to run. We thought this thing would have happened a long time ago. But since nobody came and drove us away, we're having fun. It's up to you. So it is up to us, young people, to say, look, because there's alternative, there's an alternative to rent seeking, right?
Definitely.
And there are Nigerians out there who are not rent seekers, there are Nigerians, but we have so constricted our space to do good that the rent seekers have become the owners of the land. The thieves have become the owners of the land. The liars have become, dissemblers have become the people you would look up to. So, you're right. I read, sorry. You are right about it. If I said something the other day, if you did good for 25 years as civil servant, you never stole, and one day you retired, nobody paid your pension, nobody paid you gratuities, and your children need to go to school, and the guy who used to be an armed robber, kidnapper, is the one who paid your child's school fees, right? Because that's the only way you can send your children to school. Who do you think your children will look up to? They look up to the kidnappers. You know, when Evans was arrested, the first people to protest were people on his streets. They said, Evans is a nice man. He's the one who brought us solar panels. You know, he brought electricity. Since he came here everywhere, saved. Yes, Evans, kidnapper, right? Because government failed, and the kidnapper was playing Russian roulette with it. Who was playing Russian roulette with people's lives? Became a Robin Hood. He started the Robin Hood Foundation, and the people fell in love with him. You know, it's called the Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
When people abuse you so frequently and for so long, you fell in love with your oppressor. So the solution is for us to see our oppressors as our enemies. At the point that we are in today, Nigerians have fallen in love with their oppressors so much that the oppressors don't even need to worry about it. I went to see Rawlings in Ghana about, I think, a month and a half ago. And the spoke and he dropped his head on his hand and we said, "What's wrong with you, former President Rawlings?" He said, "You know, I know Nigeria very well. You know, and I know it's the time for your generation. But you know what? Your people are still in love with your oppressors." It became headlines in Nigeria when we came back from that. And nothing could have been more apt than what Rawlings said. So to go directly to your question again, so that people don't lose track of it, is to say categorically that the people that we're talking about, they are emboldened and empowered by our complacency. They're emboldened and empowered by our acceptance of the norms, that it pays to be a psychophant, it pays to be a rent seeker. You know, why would somebody create an industry or a manufacturing plant when he can do round tripping? You know, if you create a plant or manufacturing industry, what do you want to do? You want to make profit. So instead of going to the CBN to get a loan to go and build a refinery or build a shoe manufacturing factory, if you can make all your profits in one day, you just go there and make your profits. And then you walk home. That was what all these people have been doing since they came with 5 different foreign exchange types, where you can exchange for pilgrimage for 200 naira. But the real people who are doing real business in Nigeria will need to go to the bureau de change to go and change them. Look at what the PDP did last weekend, right? They went, all the bureau de change people in this town went to Port Harcourt to go and change dollars for candidates who, so somebody came one morning, bought the primary ship of, the primary slot of a party, and the country is celebrating it. Why? Because we have fallen in love with our oppressors. And in other words, even in our own culture, they will say to us that if you are like that persistently, you are cursed. We are cursed.
Yeah, but you know, Mr. Sowore, I just need to break in here now because you said quite a lot of things, and I don't think it's that cut and dried. You're talking about falling in love. You're talking about Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
But what about the psychological conditioning? And that's why I asked you about poverty.
That is what is Stockholm syndrome. It's a psychological condition. It's a psycho-mental condition. That's the way I would describe it.
Exacerbated.
So you are conditioned. Yes, I created it. First, they condition you first. You tune you. And then you become used to it to the point that you start defending it.
Yes.
You know, because the great defenders of oppressors in Nigeria are poor people. They are the first to tell you that.
Now, we've talked so much about going after the problematic ends of Nigeria.
Yes.
And what plan do you have towards getting people reorientated? Because right now, before, the system wasn't like this. But it's gotten out of hand that they are now using what I called this mentality of poverty to manipulate people's mindset.
And not just poverty.
And the man that has your mind has your life.
It's true.
That's how entrenched it is.
Mr. Sowore, it's also about education. Have you checked out our education these last few decades?
I have.
It's also about lack of healthcare. It's also about the personality. You know, your personality is made up of several layers. You've got your self-esteem, your dignity as a person. But when, like you gave a very right example, somebody goes steal money and then becomes rich overnight and all of that. Would you feel like working hard to make money? So we're talking about the people who have been stripped of the very essential makeup of their personality.
Yeah, that's what I refer to.
So how do we bring them out of that dungeon?
That's what I refer to as psychomental condition, you know. And the way to bring them out is to give them what they deserve first, right? If Nigerians will, I'll give you an example. The same Nigerians here, right, who will run a red light, right, who will kill somebody for stealing a cell phone, and when a rich man is coming, they will praise him, knowing that he stole billions. But the same, you can do the social experiment. Go to a car park or should steal somebody's phone, or even let there be a rumor that you touch the person and the person is looking. You touch the person and the person is looking for his manhood, which is the most ridiculous one. They'll kill the person right there. There'll be somebody with petrol tire. They kill the person, and let a rich man who the EFCC just arrested and released come pass. They will stand and be saying Babarere, Babake. Even policemen will leave whatever they are doing and follow that person. So, but the same Nigerians, when they step out of this country where there's order, where there's law, they will not run red lights. So it shows to you that there's a template that makes people work. There's a template you put in place that give people the integrity back. There's a lot of people in Nigeria who will not do what they are doing today if they knew what their rights are, if they know what the responsibility of government are. If someone knew that they could drive from here to Ibadan and not die on the highway, they will start to have the integrity to say, wow, you know. So you can get to Ibadan in an hour, because a lot of people have never traveled between Lagos and Ibadan before in less than 5 hours. That's the truth.
I slept on that road twice.
Exactly. I was on that road. I traveled with this. I traveled within a 2-kilometer part of Ibadan Lagos road 2 months ago on my way to Ikeja. Spent 6 hours. So we've been through it before, but for you to give people back this integrity, you can't educate people by going on radio. The National Orientation Agency cannot reorientate people's mind, but policies, programs, and an agenda that gives them what they want will reorientate their mind. When I go to the US, for example, right, what was the first thing I was looking for? Each time I went to eat, I'll be calculating how much it was, or it would be in Naira. Exactly. Or I would think about it, I wish I could just send this food back to my family, because I came from a family of 20 kids. Most nights, yes, my father has 3 wives, 20 kids. Most nights,
he's a lazy man. My father had 13.
Exactly. So, most nights, I know that these kids go to bed without food, and that was what was uppermost in my mind. Meanwhile, I'm walking into the deli, or I'm walking into the supermarket or the grocery store, and when I walked in one at 9 p.m. they must throw away food that's expired. It's not like it's part of their law.
Like
if the next morning, if the government finds out you did not throw away that, you're not being shut down alone. You are going to jail for endangering people's lives. And it could be like milk, and on several occasions I would taste the milk. There's nothing different from it. It's not but because they wrote an expiry.
That's a value now.
Yes, that's dignity we are talking about.
Yeah.
But you can imagine somebody who has never drank milk before. I'll give you 3 examples. There was a time they buried chicken that has expired in Port Harcourt. People swam to the place the next day and started digging them out and eating it. There was a time a whale.
Iota of dignity.
Where would they get it when government is out there? When the job of government elsewhere is to give you dignity.
The intellect of such people is
it's not them. You need to get rid of the government that put them in that. The government people. Didn't you know one time there was a time a whale washed off, a rotten whale washed off the shores of Lagos? Even when they came back the next day and they were saying that they have a running stomach. They still came and asked for more.
Running stomach than empty stomach.
Exactly. So it's a kind of country that, but I'm telling you that everything you see that was done to Nigeria and Nigerians is deliberate policy of stripping them of their dignity, psycho-conditioning them to the extent that they now became the defenders of their oppressive conditions. This is what I'm trying to arrive at.
So let's look at one very key important thing as a human being is ability to ask questions.
Yes.
And people like you and others who want to ask questions during the military, and even now, the security agency are being used to
muzzle us. So it's not the security agencies alone.
Yeah, no, they are only prominent.
They are array of gamutes of
they are only prominent.
Machines.
You understand? What do you think we can do for when IG give order to the CP and you know that this order is not okay? The CP will have mind to say, Mr. IG, I can't carry out.
So it's not up to.
That was the questioning authority.
It's about systems. It's about systems. You see, we're supposed to have systems here, and we're supposed to have functional systems. We don't have systems that are working or functioning. So we're lacking in systems, we're lacking in functionality. The IG don't have a right to give an order to a CP to do something that's against the law. The CP is supposed to be, you know, a servant to the law of the land, to the extent that not only the CP, the last rank in the police or the army is supposed to look at his boss in the eye and say, look, I cannot go and kill somebody on your behalf because it's against the law. After the Second World War, the Nuremberg trial made it very clear that it's no longer an alibi to carry out an order on the excuse that it was given to you by a superior officer. You are responsible, even if somebody asks you to go and kill as a general and you are a sergeant. You are responsible for carrying out an act, knowing that it's an unlawful act. You cannot carry out an unlawful act. A CP is not supposed to go to the IG and give him bribe and say, sir, this is the one from our state. Because the CP says by 4 p.m. I must get this amount of money from you. You're supposed to tell the CP, no, I cannot give you bribe because it's unlawful to pay bribe.
But
in fact,
you're forgetting the culture aspect.
There's no culture. Look,
I mean,
don't
in
let
Africa,
us,
deference to authority is part of our culture.
It's not part of our culture.
You were probably taught not to question your dad. What
no,
your dad says is fine.
my dad and his peers and the elders made up that rule. I question my dad all the time. And over time,
you got to know wax for it.
I got whooped for it a few times. But over time, my dad came to respect that. I question authority all the time. Look, think about Yoruba culture. There are Yorubas who have individually dethroned Obas before. Fela's mom was one of them. And they were like in the 60s because the culture is not exclusively for the man on the throne. It's for the throne. The throne is respected based on the person on the throne. The Oba of Akure who beat his wife, was he not on the throne a few years ago? Before, the Oba could not be questioned. And why was he dethroned? It was because on those days on Sahara Reporters, we kept reporting it that this Oba, it's not only that he beat his wife, he poured some stuff on her skin, and skin started falling. The woman is dead now.
Even the man is dead.
The man is dead too. So because society said at that point, no, there's a new moral code at the time. You can't just be Oba and go and beat up your wife and get away with it. Because that's how it is done everywhere. So our culture is, there's room for respect, but there's no room for you to ask somebody to go and do something wrong and say it's a culture. Part of our problem is that everything that the oppressive class could use, they have used to colonize or recolonize our minds. They use culture, religion. That's why they're always using extrajudicial means to tell you, oh, it is all right to bribe because in our culture, how can you not bribe now? Our culture is supposed bribery, but they are not telling you that it's bribery. They're just saying, come and give now, So there's a difference between giving somebody benevolently, that's philanthropy, and taking from what belongs to the public and then giving it to a person, or a person stealing it and then giving part of it to you, and you say it's culture. It's not culture.
Okay.
It's crime.
Let's look at this.
Sorry, we need to actually announce you can be a part of the show. I'm sure that you're very interested in speaking with Mr. Sowore, and he's here to probably actually answer all your questions that you have. So 0809 220
because I have the number
879.
You can also call. I won't drop my question.
090
764
23964. Hello, Early Rush family. Welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Hello, my love.
I'm so happy listening to Mr. Sowore. I love you.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
Thank you, love.
Honestly, my favorite good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
But the problem is, those people that are out there, that determine our state, don't want these people that are talking about, those impoverished, better than these people. How are you going to make them vote for you? They are out there and they are waiting for you to pay them before they vote. That is my
just got to know why
Mr.
there.
Sowore, as an addendum to
actually,
her
that's an
question,
emotional one.
yes, sir, as an addendum to her question and submission, we had a chat with Professor Patutomi.
Yes.
And
Oh,
you know,
last week
that was a
Tuesday.
gentleman. Ara was here again as well. And here was a gentleman who thought that he was playing by the rules of the game, a gentleman's engagement. And at the end of the day, when he was still busy, do you know he didn't even have the list of the delegates he was supposed to
And he
actually
wrote
lobby
letters
or,
upon
campaign
letters.
to. And while he was still writing letters, he had everything was
Everything is
locked up
primary.
and barrel. He had no idea
The
of the
address
venue.
or the location of the
You
person.
know,
Yeah,
so
very
yeah, I mean, this is what we're dealing
That's
with.
my
And then
answer.
again, we also have another professor in another, I forgot, is it Professor Mumumba or something, who was holding town hall meetings, talking with
That's the
people,
guy in Kenya,
appealing to
yeah.
their. At the end of the day, the candidate who was able to pay won.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is what you're up against.
So this is what I would have told Patrick told me. If you have 22 million naira, how much is it?
22.5.
Why would you go and give it to APC, knowing the party? Utomi should know better. You see, you can't go to courts and plead ignorance. Like, I didn't know. That's the reason I committed a crime or or a misdemeanor. Utomi knew from day one that these are criminals. And that's why I don't want you to use the word is a gentleman. What is a gentleman doing in the midst of wolves and criminals? Yes, I'm starting to doubt Utomi's, he's a person I used to respect. I'm doubting his own sanity too. Because I read on Facebook that he couldn't even locate the
venue, yeah.
No, he told us.
Somebody had to call him.
We have him live here.
Somebody had to call him and they announced the result.
If you have 22 million naira, why didn't you go and join Sowore's party? First, it wouldn't have cost him that much money to be a candidate. We would have been able to use that money with 22 million naira. We would have printed a lot of posters, done a lot of radio jingles to change the narrative. So, if we had 10 part Utomis, I never knew Utomi had that much money. It looks like somebody who's too frail and too poor for me sometimes. So I will engage him. I will engage him when I see him. If you have that kind of money and we have 10 Patutomis, that would be 220 million naira. If we get 220 million naira in our party, African Action Congress, I swear, by my mom and my dad, who is late, and my ancestors who are up there, not the useless ancestors who are still with us, that we will shake this country to its foundation. So let people also, people are making wrong.
Buy votes.
Is it going to buy?
It is what it is.
No, that's part of the problem. We are justifying what is wrong because it's not what it is. Because if it is what it is, this country will be El Dorado today. We are in this condition today because we justify. It is what it is. It's not what.
Now let me say this to you.
Jericho rice. How long can it serve you?
But do you think about that?
Now let's change.
You saw APC.
Lane now.
You saw Oshu.
Now let's change the lane now.
Okay.
Nigeria is not a town or a city or a local community. It's a huge geographical spread, and it's you that I've been reading, that I've been listening to. The first about with you was your interview on Fresh with your brother. Right. Yes. Let me ask, can we have a peek into your team? Because being Nigeria's president, it's not a tea party.
Yes. Before I talk about the team, I want to disabuse your mind about something. I studied geography and planning at the University of Lagos, and I know a little bit about geography. Nigeria is not a huge country.
We aren't?
We're not. So I've lived in the US for 19 years. The US has 50 states. One US state, Alaska, is bigger than Nigeria.
In size of population?
In size. Population we'll talk about later. California Nigeria is just twice the size of California. Twice. Texas is 75% of Nigeria. When you walk into those places, you see a highway from one end to the other. Okay, let me give you another reason to.
America is like hundreds of years old.
It's not hundreds of years old. Like, if you look at how long the continent of Africa has been, physically we've probably been here as a people, as a continent, earlier than most people. Civilization has been traced to Africa several times. It meant that this place has been around for a long time.
Right.
It's been around for. In fact, what you see in Egypt, which is part of
even
this
before the biblical days,
yes,
Africa had been.
Africa wasn't even around.
Yeah.
Even if you look at the Bible, it talked about Ethiopia. You know, they got close to Ethiopia. But that's this is verifiable history. So Nigeria is not big. Nigeria is a small country. If you are flying in the US, you're flying from the East Coast to the West Coast. 6 hours. It's the same amount of time that you do flying from New York to London.
Yeah.
There are times that if you're going from New York to Seattle, if you don't have a direct flight, you arrive in Nigeria first before the person going to Seattle, and you are still in one country.
Yeah.
And there's a highway also between the East Coast and the West Coast. It takes a week to drive. But you drive on this highway, you get to your destination without almost sometimes hitting a bump. I mean, a bump on the highway or a pothole. Because there's leadership. So we dramatize our suffering and the incompetence of our leaders by claiming that Nigeria is big. Another thing they will tell you is that Nigeria is complex. Oh, it's a complex place to govern.
Yeah.
You ask them, why is it complex? Oh, there are too many ethnic groups and all that. In New York alone, every family is represented in New York City. You find Italians, Malaysians, but what do you think keeps everybody going is that you work 1 week, at the end of the week you collect your salary or wages. You go to a club, you drink yourself to stupor, you want to buy clothes, you buy clothes. In the US, your first hour of wage, so we have been here for an hour now, right, almost. Well, your first hour of wage is calculated to be able to buy you breakfast, pay your transportation to work. That's your first hour of wage, and you work for 8 hours. So when I arrived in the US, my wage was $6.50 or 25 cents. That was the first job I had. Coffee and bread, they call it bagel, with big amount of cheese in it, is 50 cents or $1, right? I used to buy the transportation token is $1, so that's $2. So I save. If I want to save, I'm able to. After eating in the morning, I'm able to save $4 in that first hour of work. It's not. That's not to say that you don't have other issues to deal with. I mean, it's not all Eldorado. But here in Nigeria, complex Nigeria, the wage of a worker per month is 18,000 naira. 18,000 naira in dollars is how much? $1 is $100 is 35,000 naira. So in a month, you are hovering around $50 in a month as a Nigerian worker. And if you are unlucky to have 4 kids or 2 kids, how do they survive? You know, like you're talking about minimum wage. If you have to send, you are sick, you go to hospital, how do you pay the doctors with that kind of amount of money? And when you say to people, that is unacceptable wage, they'll tell you that if you pay workers, it will cause inflation. It will cause inflation. Facebook economists will be telling you it will cause inflation.
You don't
Then,
agree?
then you turn around and say, so how is it that our senators who go to work 12 times a month, some of them have not been to work for almost 2 months, they closed down the Senate, but their allowance one day has never been affected. They are collecting that 13.7 million naira on a monthly basis. That's just the allowance. They have 200 million naira as constituency project that they have to collect. They never implement these things. They also have salaries, and then they carry out extortion in the name of constituency visitations, oversight to ministries, departments, and agencies of government. And when you look at it compared to what the minimum wage is, the Senate, the National Assembly, spends about 1.3 to 5 trillion naira a year. All the workers combined together, their minimum wage, if we pay them 100,000, it will only cost Nigeria 1.3 trillion naira more. It's the same amount of money we waste on this character. But nobody will ever argue, even not the Facebook economists or real economists, ever argue against the allowances that our senators are collecting.
Right.
You have not gone to governors. You have not gone to the president who is flying around in 9 jets.
Okay. So, Mr. Sowore, we have a call caller.
Yes.
Please turn down the volume of your radio set. Oh, we're so sorry
Yes,
about
I
that. We just
question
wanted
you.
him to actually
What's the
get
question?
to the
About
end.
your
All right.
powerhouse.
Aaron, please hold on. Hello, good morning.
I
Thank
was
you so
gonna
much
get
for
to
being
that.
here.
Good morning.
Olumuyiwa.
Yeah, good
I was
morning.
right. Go right ahead.
Mr. Sowore, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Lumiwa?
Yeah, fine. You see, I have been following political trends in Nigeria, and it is unfortunate that what Nigerians are saying now is that we have just two parties that are going to contest. All other ones are just erasers. Now, if not because of Mofe, I wouldn't have heard your voice, although many people are talking about that, say maybe one day I will listen. How do you want Nigeria to hear your voice? You know, in this present Nigeria, if you don't have billions upon billions to settle others, to settle religious leaders, to settle many people, so that they can campaign your name and
Exactly what I'm saying.
Are you getting my
Go on,
point?
go on.
I'm getting the
Okay.
point.
If you don't have money present of today, in a country where people spend millions of dollars just to one primary,
Allegedly.
how do you want to go far? Good morning.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sowore, we'll do it like this. Let's pick a couple of calls.
Yes.
Yeah? Because when you live here, I'll be the one that
You have to
you
deal
know,
with
yeah,
consequences of what I
Hello,
said.
good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Akim from Nakuluku.
Okay, welcome, brother Akin. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I could call in today. I've been trying all this while. But you see, I'm happy people like Mr. Sowore is in your studio. You see, let me just go straight to the point. You see, Mr. Sowore, find a way down from there. You can get people of like minds like you. There are many of us like minds like you. But the thing is that there are no rallying points for us. And this is what
Akin,
I don't want to put. Yes.
go on.
Yeah, it's because people that know the.
Oh dear.
That's pretty bad network.
We're so sorry about that. Okay, Akin, do try to call back if you can. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Oh, good morning to you, madam. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Bukola, and I'm calling from around Lekki.
All right, welcome, Bukola. Go on.
I'm so happy to have gotten through today. Sowore, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Good morning.
My
Nicola.
president at the University of Lagos.
Wow.
I'm so glad that you are still the same as you were those years ago.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad. And I want you to know that there's so many Nigerians out there that believe in the principles you stand for. And I really appreciate it if you make your manifesto available, your principle known. Let's blow it up on social media. There's so many young adults and youth in Nigeria that are looking for this kind of opportunity. We are tired.
Yes.
And we desire a transformation of this nation. So please,
Absolutely.
we need your contact. How do we reach you? Where's your office?
Yes.
We are going to change this nation.
It has to
We
happen.
must partake of the good of this land. Nigeria is a blessed nation.
That's right.
And enough of all this stealing from everyone. Leaving that now. We need to stop it. Thank you so much for speaking out your heart. We're right behind you. And God will make sure you get there to give us the Nigeria that we deserve. Thank you so much.
God bless you. Thank you very much. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for being here. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Ibrahim. Please, I want Mr. Shaw to give us a little analysis about our own leadership we have in Lagos, which I like you about the character to become a leader. Because you mentioned a point that it's only when you give people what they want. And all these new candidates, they are saying that they are not relevant. What are they been giving to people in their domain?
Yeah.
How are they popular around this geopolitical zone? Because most of them, they don't go outside where they are living. We are talking about Ghana and other people. Where have they been able to reach? How have they been able to accommodate? How can they accommodate? Please, give us the sign of leadership. Because many people that support these people, they don't know the sign of leadership. It's just about liking, I like this one, I like this one. Please, give us the sign. The criteria that somebody can become, or how we can believe in somebody. Please, thank you. Thank you.
God bless you. Hello, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning to you. I'm great. What's your name? Where are you calling
The whole
from?
of
My name is Brother Raymond. I'm coming from Lagos.
Welcome, Brother Raymond. Go on.
Yes, I've been referring to the program. I'm glad I joined you this morning.
I'm glad too. Go on, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Sowore. I really appreciate your coming, sir.
Good morning, Raymond.
Well, you're the kind of character we
Brother
need in this
Raymond,
country.
Brother Raymond, please turn down the volume of your radio set. Thank you. And thank you for enjoying the show. Go on.
Okay, so, Mr. Sowore, I really appreciate you coming, and you're the kind of character we need in this country to fix it. But the way the foundation of the country is there, I think you're not giving a chance to change anything. Because the foundation of the country is so wrong, and then you kind of people who need us to fix it. But the way the foundation is there, it's going to be difficult for you to do anything. Because the kind of people know exactly what governance is all about. The people, the kind of people we have here, they have been kind of manipulated the system that your kind of people will not be given a chance to, do anything. So I believe if the country is kind of restructured, your kind of people will be able to change the country the way we wanted it. So that's what I want to say this morning. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Brother Raymond. Hello. Good morning. Welcome to the Early Rush Show. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Adeolu Sholanke. I'm calling from Lagos.
Welcome, Brother Adeolu. Go on. Go right ahead.
I'm so glad to hear Mr. Sowore for this morning. And I want to say that we have a lifetime. Because when you look at the situation of the country, you just be so tired about it. I went to London. When I came back, it was like, wow, which kind of country am I even coming back to? It was so serious. It was a big country. People have been bastardized. People have been, our sense has been washed away. You understand? So they have bastardized us with property. So that we don't even know our rights. We cannot even stand on our rights because we are hungry. And people's senses have been washed away. But I want to ask Mr. Sowore one question. In this part of the country, the West, the West and the East anyway, we are so much educated. We can easily understand. And now, we don't have much population. Now, go to the northern part of the country. Many of them are illiterate. They are not educated. And they don't, even they can suffer. They don't care. They don't even want to know. Such as they are people or somebody that they like. How does Mr. Sowore, how does he want to deal with this situation? How will he touch the heart all over the country?
Okay. God bless you, Mr. Sholanke. Hello, good morning, Brother Victor.
Good morning. My name is Victor. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Go on, Brother Victor.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Sowore.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate your comment, and I'm really enjoying. I feel your passion, and I know you are very, very sincere from the way you have been speaking. But in Nigeria today, I think where double tragedy has befallen us. There are no effects to what you have been saying, and to what is happening in my own view, because. Like what you said before, a situation whereby we are left with APC and PDP, and they are messing us up. This one will finish, the other one will come, and they say, no, you are not dealt with them. So much, let me help you dealing with them. And they will double the punishment and increase the cry, increase our pain. That is the situation we find ourselves. And during the election, and we find out that I want to give use what happened in the streets last time as an example, and that is what has been happening. In the two states, you have 45 political parties, and we Nigerians, we see those political parties, but we will not vote for them. We are just struggling to vote for PDP and UPC. Well, those are new people that are coming up that we should try to move away from the past and vote for them, and let other new people, let the fresh blood come out. We will not think that way. It means that something is wrong with us. We are no longer thinking very well. No, we don't think objectively anymore. We are just naive, very easy to deceive. But my main problem on your own side, the people that are coming up with that, you people are not campaigning too much. It's like, I discovered that some people like you said, and like as I said before, people go to answer the former governorship. They did not campaign. They did not really
good morning. Please don't take too long. We have somebody else holding on. Hello, thank you so much for being here. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Prince Y.S. Calling from Amuwo.
Welcome, Prince Y.S. Go right ahead, please.
So, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm feeling good, but terrible considering the situation of the country.
If I don't know you physically, I don't go through your newspaper every day. So, may God bless you. Now, in this country, I want to just say the fact. The alternative we have to APC today in Nigeria is PDP.
That's not a fact.
But that's the widely
Let
believed
me finish in response. I know what I'm saying. Nigeria politics today is being monetized. Nigeria politics today, without structure, we go nowhere. Nigeria politics today, if you can't grab the voter, you don't know where to go. Nigeria politics today, ordinary delegates being paid 200,000 for a delegate in the primary election. Well, where will you get that money? That is a big question to some of you newcomers. And what I want you to do, please, some of you are so good. The way you speak now, I will cherish you. I want you to be one of our leaders. But the road to that job is very, very tiny. That is my saying. I would like some of you to please, what I relate on go together. Use your strength, your population to demand for some portfolio from a tangible party. That's my time. Because some of them will start from local government as a chairman, be a commissioner, be a minister, but to go to Antonio direct, it looks so impossible. In America, we don't have a multiple parties, but most of recognize democratic and republican. In Nigeria today, whether we like it or not, the two dominant party today is APC and PDP. Totally after that. The other party, we have a 90 party.
Please, I have to let you go.
Okay. Let me stop that for
God bless you. Hello, one last call before we go back to Mr. Omoyele. Oh dear. All right. Hello, good morning. One last call for now. We'll come back to calls. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm very grateful to get you today on that.
Sorry?
My name is Chidi. I'm calling from Iowa.
All
The
right,
volume of
Brother
your set,
Ellis.
please.
Yes, please turn up the volume of your radio set. Mr. Ellis, thank you for enjoying the show, right? But we couldn't hear you because your radio keeps interfering, with the sound. Yeah. Hello, good morning. Thank you for being here.
Hello, good morning. My name is Mr. Collins from Oregon.
All right, go on.
First time caller.
Yay! Welcome, my darling.
Yes, and I'm even very glad that I have the opportunity to call in today that is assurance around.
Yay!
I listened to his speech, have been moved. But sorry, I have to queue behind his wife. The reality right here today is that if anybody that votes outside the APC or PDP, they are throwing away your vote. It's not as if we don't know what is right, but the structure does not support what is right. The present structure in Nigeria cannot support Mr. Sowore. That is the ugly truth. Cannot support Mr. Sowore. Then how do we go about it? I would rather suggest that people like Mr. Sowore that have a regret, a thought like that, to come as a coalition. And instead of like what Nnamdi Kanu did in a wrong way, we should come and do it in the right way. You understand? Let me tell you, unless we restructure Nigeria, we can't move ahead. We can't move ahead. Mr. Sowore cannot compete with the dollar that people spend over the weekend. That's the ugly truth. And Nigerians have been so bastardized in their mind. Like he said, that we have had a mental reconditioning. The mental reconditioning is such that Mr. Sowore cannot go. So we can start from the grassroots. That's another reconditioning mentally of Nigerians.
I call it brain resetting.
Nigerians to be willing to welcome them. But with the present structure, Sorry. I have so many things to say, but for now, Mr. Sowore, we love you.
Thank you. And you can always join us on Facebook.
Oh, she said she was going to tears.
Thank you so much.
You're such a sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I can't pick more calls for now because we have quite a number of issues to look at.
Yes.
Mr. Sowore, you want to take it up from the top, or should we start from
Start from
the
where
bottom?
I can remember.
Instead of understanding
No,
this,
I'm here to
I'm
remind
asking
you.
to give us a peep into your team.
Yes, I'll do a very quick one there, just so that you know what our director general for the campaign is Malcolm Fabi, and he graduated from the University of Lagos around 1995-96 with a first-class degree in chemical engineering. Went directly from there, from the University of Lagos to Cambridge to obtain a PhD directly. This guy.
Sorry to cut in, right? We'll give you time to go through all that now, but we quickly need to go on a short break.
All right.
So we'll be right back.
Thank you.
I believe in you, and I'm advertising you, but I'm trying to do it indirectly, so I don't get into trouble.
No problem.
Don't misunderstand. And then because of NBC, you see how the incumbents is building the NBC, shutting radio stations.
We will shut them down very soon.
That's what we have to be very well, we keep it issues built. We don't have any
Like I say, you chose a glory.
So, now here's a full game. You will have it 2 days without recharging.
I would like to dedicate my whole show to a Loretta. I'm sure that it's not out there.
Self-visit.
It's not known for dedicate the whole show to a Loretta.
Because you
Back through high school fees and all, Ayo or Motola. We have so many messages here. I'll try. Good morning, Sister Mufe. Please let Mr. Sowore start from his constituency there. And then can people take him serious? He should also consider joining the leading parties and effect changes in said leading parties. A scenario where people from parties alone with the objective of capturing power is not healthy for the polity. If sincerely Mr. Sowore wants to be Nigeria's president, solo parties and presidential candidacy are
And the first realization I've seen, which is the beginning of the solution, is a lot of Nigerians have come to accept that we have a problem, that we are psychologically enslaved in this country, that we are mentally and physically enslaved in this country. And a lot of people, even educated people, are saying that, well, we know what is good, but it's not possible here. For me, that's the solution to it. The moment you know that things are not okay, the idea that whether something can be done to ameliorate it or change it is why I'm in front of you today, is why I'm speaking to you. I knew that things are bad, or had been bad since I stepped into the university in 1989 during military rule. And what did I do? I did not say that because it's military rule and they have a tank, I will not fight. I was at the University of Lagos. I joined groups, hands with people, and fought the military until they were kicked out of power. When in 1993, elders, pastors, imams in this country, traditional rulers were betraying Abiola, I was one of the few young people, the video is out there, who stood by him until he died. Even his children abandoned him at that time, at that hour of need. So we need more people who've got themselves psyched up to say, look, I might look little, I might look inconsequential, but I can do something to change society. And I'm challenging those of you who called in today, who have given up hope, I'm challenging Nigerians who have lost hope, who think that there are only two political parties. There are no two political parties. There's actually one political party divided into two. The PDP and the APC have one body, two heads. It's the same people. That's why it's so easy for them to be serious carpetbaggers. Today somebody's in PDP, in the morning he's in PDP, in the evening he's in APC, by the next morning he's back to PDP. Why is it so easy? It's because they have a veranda that joins both parties together. They're just two rooms in the same house sharing the same veranda. That's what it is. There are no two political parties. You have these monstrous parties and you have alternatives. I can't say enough of the fact that you have, and the moment you embrace the alternative, you are on your way to freedom.
I think the problem is, number one, realizing that there are alternatives for the Nigerian people who have been conditioned to believe it's either.
No, let me even break it down for them.
Okay.
If you have your ballot paper next time you are voting, our party, the African Action Congress, is number 3 on the ballot paper. So before you find your way to the party of misery at the bottom, you would have had a chance to choose. Just use your thumbprint, point it there. Vote for Sowore. The logo is very simple. It's 2 hands. It's not complex. If you do that, you would have changed your country by February 16th, 2019.
Yeah,
but if you
will
vote
people
for,
do that?
That's why I'm here. So, but people are, it's the same thing we had at the beginning of the discussion. People are excusing the reason. It's just like they put chains in your hand and you have the chance to remove it. Instead of it, you ask somebody to be polishing it for you so that they will look like gold. At the end of the day, you are still in chains. Whether the handcuff is gold or silver,
right,
you are handicapped.
Address this one of, you should have started from maybe local governments.
Yeah. I hear that all the time.
You've heard it come up quite a bit.
I heard it
today as well.
You know, there's something about being oppressed. The worst thing that happens to an oppressed mind is that they internalize oppression. And sometimes that also leads to internalization of inferiority complex. A lot of people actually believe that if I was Saraki's son, nobody will ask me to go and start from local government. Right? If I was Buhari's daughter, nobody will ask me to go and start from local government. Because we have internalized of the same, who is Sowore's father, in this country. You just come from nowhere. Where is it coming from? Like the Yorubas will say that Nibolo Tijawa, that's the way Yorubas, other tribes have, we have ways in Nigeria that we. Otherwise, how can you say that a 47-year-old man with a master's degree from an Ivy League school in the US have created a global company, right? Any other candidate has never done anything else. They have never innovated, never created anything. They've only, in fact, the one that is lifeless has never been to school before. We can't even find a degree associated with him. The second one only was a custom officer before, and you have a young, vibrant man full of life. I'm even better looking than these guys. And you're here saying that yes, and I'm physically fitter than them. I've done 8 marathons.
But all these things, do they matter?
They matter. The intellect matters, stamina matters, capacity matters, integrity matters. And you are there saying, I need to go to local governments. Can you imagine? You have to check yourself. If after I tell you all of these things, you still think that I'm only fit for a local government. And the person who is fit to be your president is this man that has been described as lifeless. Or the man that has been indicted several times, who doesn't have anything to show for their lifetime. These guys are in their 70s. You cannot find anything they've ever created. Never. You cannot find a company they started that worked. Yesterday, multimedia company staff of Atiku are complaining that he has not paid them their salary because he used their money to go and bribe delegates.
Let's talk about this.
As you like to say, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Because NBC is about to come smoke you out of here.
No. Yeah. I play by
we will smoke NBC out when I become president. There won't be no NBC.
All well and good. Somebody asked about the foundation, the structure of Nigeria, against people like you actually emerging.
Look,
this restructuring thing. Has been
people should be very careful not to allow buzzwords to distract them. Restructuring is very important, I have no, but it's as important as security, it's as important as electricity. If I were to choose between all the priorities Nigeria needs, I'll first of all lighten up Nigeria with electricity. And when you lighten up, a lot of things will restructure itself, first and foremost. And I'll first of all pick a leader that can even restructure anything in the first place. Otherwise, when you restructure Nigeria and you put these same people there, what are you going to get? You're still going to get the same Nigeria that, you think that Nigeria is the only country with a bad foundation? America has worse foundation. America was built on the blood of innocent people. American Indians, right? Every country in the world has got some kind of warped foundation. What they do is that they get to a point and say, look, we knock down the foundation, we rebuild it the same way others are rebuilding themselves. You build infrastructure, train, your foundation start to look fantastic. When we are talking about foundation in Nigeria, who is restructuring Libya for us? And Nigerians are preferring to be in Libya, a war-torn country, than to be in a country that's at peacetime and things are terrible. I am not disputing people who are asking for restructuring are intelligent people. They know what they're saying. But the mistake they are making is that they have not asked that who are the people asking for restructuring of Nigeria? I give an example. The governor of my state, Ondo State, was in power for 8 years. Did not allow local government elections to happen. Shegun Mimiko. The day he lost the election, the day he failed to impose his candidate on those, he went and joined the restructuring. If I was him and I love restructuring so much, I would have started with the local government in Ondo State. So that the whole world can come and see Ondo State and say, look, this is a restructured state. Then you can take the template and go and use it to restructure Nigeria. These guys don't even allow local government allocations to get to local governments. So the moment they lost out, they suddenly discovered that restructuring is important. And people like Femi Fani-Kayode, the day he gets a ministerial point, Nigeria is a perfect union. The day he doesn't have a job, Nigeria is a bad country. It's not, so I cannot be found or be yoked equally or unequally with these characters. So they are doing it to confuse you and I. When this restructuring matter is over, they will go back and start talking about another thing. Look at now, all the people who are asking for restructuring. They said that they chose Atiku because he can restructure Nigeria. A restructured Nigeria means that Atiku will have to lose his business that is controlling our port system. Intels. Exactly. You think he will lose it? Never. Intels. If he was interested in restructuring Nigeria, he would have given up all his wealth and said, look, I've been unfair to Nigeria all these years, and I want Nigeria to be restructured. I have a company that is doing a destruction of Nigeria because, I'm unfairly getting profit from a Nigeria that the money should have been going to the people who own the resource, Lagosians at the Lagos port, the people of River State in Port Harcourt, where he has, flourishing business. Atiku is one of the biggest suppliers of water, Faro water, in northern Nigeria. There is no way you can find tap water in northern Nigeria. If he wanted to restructure Nigeria, he would have made water available to his people and invest money and say, let's Atiku have some kind of public work system that works. But what did the man choose to do? He collected the water of their people. It's not as if he made the water, he didn't invent the water. They just went and took over a lake somewhere, started purifying it, and selling it to the same poor people. So in the north now, you can't find water to buy except that
When the structure gives out oil wells to individuals, then you now blame a businessman for seeing an opportunity and then
if I was a businessman that's interested in restructuring,
will give an oil well that belongs to the country to one person, and then people in the media will hail them richest man,
have
richest
woman.
Have
you heard about the Nobel Prize?
The Nobel Prize.
Yes.
Who hasn't?
Yes, the guy Alfred Nobel, the guy whose Nobel Prize is named after. He invented dynamite. He was destroying the world. And when he made profit from it, he said, I'm giving up this. Let's use it to promote world peace. So there's nothing wrong with a businessman who discovered that he's cheated the business for so long, a country for so long, giving back. Do you know that when Atiku set up his university, which is one of the most expensive in Nigeria, it was at the time universities in Nigeria, public universities were going on strike. Instead of them to invest money in public university, federal money, they took the money for themselves and created private universities. They collected licenses and started creating private universities, abandoning the federal universities and also poaching lecturers from there. This boss at that time, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo did the same. That's how all of them own universities today. They destroyed public universities, created private universities for themselves from your own money. In fact, the money they spent in Port Harcourt on Saturday to buy the slot for the presidency of PDP, I keep telling people, you know I'm in the media, so don't worry about. Nobody's going to sue you. They know where to find me to sue me because, like the last thing, if they sue me, I will open book for them. Yes.
Oh my God!
I have I have a
right.
dossier. So what? And I wanted to correct the person, because part of what is
Coalition.
part of what is
Coalition.
killing us in Nigeria is that people speak ignorantly in the public, as if what they are saying is correct. Somebody claimed that there are 2 political parties in the U.S. Oh, there are only 2 political.
I never read that.
No, well, that's how weird they are. But
I look for
this is
it.
how democratic they are.
Okay, so now let's talk about the possibility of a coalition. Somebody asked,
is
there a possibility of a coalition? Or you want to go in all alone?
This is what we said. You've heard about PACT. People, young people came together, and then they eventually voted, and they chose Fela Durotoye over Kingsley Moghalu. I didn't participate in that because what I said at that point is that, look, if you want to have a young people coalition, let's first of all let the young people go and contest and become candidates in their parties, and then we come together and have a conversation as to who we think is the best. They said no. Today there is conflict between whether Fela Durotoye, who emerged as party's candidate. There's a conflict whether he's even the original party candidate, because his party ANM produced 2 candidates, depending on which one INEC accepts. And that's what we're saying. I think over time, which I've always said, boys will be separated from men and men will be separated from old men. So the coalition we need is going to start happening now. Many people realize that, we need to come together. But there's no point forcing people to come together. You can have as many candidates as possible. The people with the sharpest ideas, the biggest followers, or the newest ideas will get the people's nod. As somebody also said online here, and I hate to hear this all the time. Oh, Northerners are illiterates, which is stereotypically how we talk down on Northerners. The most illiterate people in Nigeria are not, the people that are literate. A lot of people in Nigeria are literate, but they are not educated. If Southerners are literate and educated as we claim on radio, ignorantly and arrogantly, why is it that we are the ones supporting the dumbest leaders in the world? There's no dumb leader in Nigeria today. The arrowhead of the intellectual engine room are Southerners. In fact, they go out of their ways to look for, people they say are sharp in the South. But the Northerner that you are claiming is illiterate. He has his transistor radio. He knows who he's going to vote for in election. He's obtained his PVC from day one. Most of them have always had a voter's card since whenever it is possible to get it. But the highfalutin English-speaking, grammar-blowing Southerners don't have PVC. We found out in Ikoyi, Lekki, Ajah, Victoria Island axis, 2 million people who are well-educated don't vote because they are too big to even go and queue up. And then they will be complaining that, some Tinubu is controlling their destiny. Why won't Tinubu control your destiny when you are supposed to vote? How many votes did Ambode win with in 2015? Less than maybe 300,000. And you have 2 million of you who support Jimmy Agbaje at that time, right? But you didn't vote for him because you are too big to vote. All of you traveled abroad and you start calling home. Is Nigeria okay now? Can we come back home? And then you are wondering why Tinubu, who is a smart aleck, walks to Alimosho because he doesn't campaign in Ikoyi. People in Ikoyi won't vote. The reason he doesn't campaign in Ikoyi is that he knows that he cannot give you Derika rice because you have it at home. He can't give you Ankara because you have too many clothes there. So he goes to people who are in need, they bribe them, and they choose your leaders for you. And they choose the worst person that can work for them for you. But because you don't vote, you can't change those conditions. And that's what you're asking. The same thing you find on radio. People demonstrate that openly and with pride. They say things that are finite. Like, oh, it's not possible for this country to vote for a leader that is good. They have no option. There are only two options. It's either we go for PDP, and it's either we vote for hunger or starvation. That's the only two options we have. We vote. Yes. So these are what these parties have given you for the last 16 or 19 years. It will be 20 years now by next year, and it's very key. And people are still supporting that. And I'm not in any way shaming anybody publicly. I'm just saying that maybe we need to start looking introspectively, because it doesn't cost us anything to change our condition. All it needs to do, all you need to do, is to convince yourself on election day you're going to vote for the right person. Can you imagine if you wake up on that day of election, the next day after the election, and they're counting and Sowore won because everybody quietly decided that this is the guy that we know. I haven't met anybody who said that this young man is outrightly bad. I'm referring to myself. They'll say to me, wow, you're great. Look at your ideas. We have manifestos. Yes, you have exposure. You have education. We can understand you. We can relate with you. But we are sorry, we still go with the lifeless man, because we have been caused to go with lifeless people.
No, but
that's pretty much what they're saying.
Because Mr. Sowore, we have to start wrapping up now, but I think this is the crux of the matter. The crux of the matter, and you've nailed it on the head beautifully. The people who are so, loquacious and and all of that, they would be in Essex or Sussex for summer, while the Yalata, the sweep, and
the people we claim are illiterate.
They are the ones who vote for our leaders in this country.
That's
and I don't think things are going to change for the foreseeable
It will.
future.
It will. Let me say this before I go, so that we don't beat ourselves down to the point that we give up. I don't want to leave anybody here without making you feel upbeat. We have also seen a surge in registration of voters from populations that we've never seen before. NINEX says that over 22 million people registered to vote fresh. 22 million. There's never been a time in the history of Nigeria that a presidential candidate won with more than 15 million votes. So if all these 22 million voters decide to vote for the right person, we win the election outright. That is to say, if we leave even the oldies with their old votes. The other thing you want to calculate is that, see, anything from Taraba all the way to Bayelsa, nobody is willing to vote for Buhari. I can tell you that. So Buhari and Atiku are left with a few states in the north. They can divide amongst themselves. Sowore gets Taraba, Benue, Plateau, all the way to south to southwest. The election is over, and it's that simple. But if you're expecting a Sowore that has $1 billion to come and share with you, every one of you will get 5,000 naira maximum. 4 years, divide 5,000 naira by 4 years. Tell me what you do. And that's what they're going to do to you. But you vote for the right guy, you have electricity in 4 years, you have schools to send your children to, hospitals to go to, roads that are motorable. You actually get to drink water not from a borehole but from a tap in your house. You got to, go to bath, with hot and cold water, combining itself together, because South Africa is there. You can ask. You get to have self-sufficiency. You get to have innovation. You get to send your children to school. Small businesses flourishing, because I'm going to trap every goddamn dollar that we make inside Nigeria and not allow people to steal it, because I know how to follow the money. As I told you, this is what Sahara reporters did for 12 years. There's no rich man out there, politically connected person, that we haven't stepped on their toes. Most importantly, you got a president that is not afraid. Somebody was complaining that I said I would jail people. I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that I would jail people. I'm saying that people will go to jail if they commit offense. That's what people do all over the world. There's nobody who's above the law. So there's no point glorifying that, don't say what, even if I don't say it, that I will jail people, or that, sorry, I'm not going to jail people. If I don't say that, the law will take its course. They know from the beginning, they know how I operate. They know that I don't take nonsense. So don't worry. If you support that they should go to prison if they do what is wrong, support us. There are a few of them, and they should worry about how many years they spend in jail and how they survive when they get to jail. But Nigeria should stop jailing innocent people and start jailing criminals.
All right.
I'm not afraid to say that anywhere.
We'll end the show with just one last question from.
You still have more questions?
Just one last question.
Go
Somebody
ahead.
said, "What would you want? What is the voice you want to be left with the people?" What am I saying? Somebody asked the question here
Yes.
that what voice would you want to be remembered by the people who have listened to you?
Your
In other
parting
words,
shot.
I'm thinking it's a message.
It's
that this person is asking for. What's your central message?
Yes, the central message is that look, this is the first time you have a chance, clearly, to change your objective conditions. You can. This is what I see happening. Is the reason why I have been able to reach 29 states, traveling around. Yes, 29 states.
29 states.
Yes, in Nigeria.
Wow.
And I didn't have a private jet.
Hope you reach my state.
Which is that?
Edo State.
Yes, I've been
Did
in
you
Oyo
reach
twice.
Oyo?
I've been in Oyo
All
twice.
right, good one.
Who's state? Who else has a
Ondo
state?
State.
Ondo State. That's my state. Been there too.
Of course, we haven't never put anyway.
I've been in Ogun State.
You'll be in Lagos too.
I've been so I've been in places like Zamfara, Kano, Kaduna. I've been in Kebbi State.
Jigawa State.
Yes, I haven't done, but I've done Benue, done Plateau State. I've done Kogi. I've done Rivers, done Cross Rivers. I've done Adamawa. You know, I've done Taraba. I've done Katsina. You know, I've done Sokoto. So I've been to all these
With
states
your
in
retinue
8
of
months.
young,
Yes,
I mean,
we
these guys
travel.
are teen.
I will not have a private jet.
15?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're up to 15?
No,
Young people
we
around
make sure
you.
that we see their national ID card.
Amazing.
But anybody that is not eligible to vote cannot follow us.
Oh my goodness!
so
it's amazing.
it's
to
amazing.
see your crew. Shake
And-
it.
and we don't
Young,
have- we don't
wonderful
have money.
Nigerians. Well done.
So, and most importantly, people are themselves the ones donating to us. You know, as any bank account receives donation from people donating £1,000, they want to own. These people are aware of it. People are donating. We've raised, and I'm saying this transparently, over 80,000 naira on GoFundMe.
Wow.
Dollars. Sorry, dollars.
$80,000.
So that tells. So people, when people say to me,
So
"Oh, people
that's
are
how
not
you're
aware."
funding your campaign.
Yes, transparent. Where I don't have a godfather who's going to give me money, and I'm going to help to retire all the godfathers.
Well, we want to thank you very much once more, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. No, like Joseph will say it. What's his name?
My incoming president.
Alright. I'd also like to thank Are. Thank you very much for joining us.
thank you,
Ale,
guys.
Are, Rio, Olade. I'm Mofe Oyasugun, and I want to thank all the young people around here. Great to meet you. Great work you're doing, and thank you as well for being a part of this part of the show. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.